Welcome to the first week of a series of videos on unveiling ourselves before God. This week is all about questions. I believe we all have questions that are lingering in the backs of our minds, questions brought up through situations and challenges, disappointments, hurt, pain, anything that would cause us to question what we already know. And they're often very difficult questions, so difficult that we don't know the answer, and the answers are not easily found. Sometimes they're not even necessarily answerable questions, but those questions linger in our mind, and I do believe that they can actually eat away at us, erode some of that confidence or sense of well-being that we have because they're unanswered and they're just sitting back there waiting to be brought up by another situation. Rather than these questions seeming like kind of mountains, blockades in front of us, I believe they can also serve a better purpose. They can act like doorways into a new arena, a new area of life with God. So the challenge is, do these questions scare us? Absolutely. Do they need to be asked? Do we need to be honest about them? Absolutely. So how do we do that, and how do we utilize these questions to actually take us further into our journey with God rather than keep us where we are today? So the first thing we need to do is let go of the notion that all we need is the answer. It's not about finding the right answer. What we need is God to be with us and to discover what He would say to us in the middle of these questions. And that is a worthwhile journey. That leads us to what the goal of this week really is, which is revelation. What is revelation? It's the specific experience of registering that you now have seen something or understand something that you didn't previously see or know or understand. We could say it's God speaking to us, except speaking makes it sound like we're hearing audible things. We're becoming aware of things as God thinks with us and through us and brings things to light that were previously undisclosed. So that's the goal. And the first step to positioning ourselves to receive revelation, because we can't force it, we can just get in the right mode. The first thing is to actually set aside time. So I'm going to suggest that for this first week, you take at least 2 and hopefully 3 times where you can set aside 45 minutes to an hour. Not that you'll need all that time, but because you don't want to be rushed or interrupted, you need to make sure you have a block in your schedule so that you feel free to let down and just be for a while. Next, what you're going to do is just take a moment and invite God to be with you. Now, I do believe that God is always with us, that He hasn't abandoned us, but I think that when we make that invitation, He's able to come and be with us in deeper, maybe more impacting ways when we really intentionally acknowledge and invite Him to come and be with us and think with us and sit with us and help us as we begin searching these things within our hearts and our minds. Okay, now comes the challenge. The really difficult part of this is to be able just to be, and whether it's pen and paper in hand or whatever, but just to be and allow things to start to surface. And oftentimes what surfaces first is all the urgent things that, are kind of on the tip of our tongue or the front of our mind. I forgot to do this, so yeah, I need to do that. And if it's helpful for you to write those things down just to get them out, that's fine. But the key and the challenge here is to not judge anything that comes up and think, oh, I should be thinking other things, or oh, I shouldn't be thinking about those things. That's not what happens. We're being real, we're being ourselves. That's what's there. And so let's take the time to let those things surface and make a note of them. And as those things start to clear out, I believe other things that lurk kind of below the surface will find their way to the top. And when we find those things, if we recognize that's something I need to spend a little more time on, now we get to start exploring. And that's where we get to really just allow those things to ruminate in our minds. We can ask questions, write down questions. We just need to start paying attention to those things that often we kind of push to the back because we don't have time for that or don't have the answer. Maybe you can discover more questions you have about that question. Maybe you're having other thoughts or other angles or other reasons why that matters to you. Remember, God is thinking with you. He's helping you in this process. So this process of unveiling what is below is allowing God to come and dig and search with you. And He's going to be speaking and showing you things, and all of it matters. So don't discount any of it. Don't think that you should be doing something more important or more spiritual or holy or whatever. This is the real you with the real God, and you're being together, and this is exactly what needs to happen. Now, before you leave this time, what you need to make sure to do is write down what seems important, what really does come out. You might not write a lot, you might only write a little bit, but make an effort to write something that came out of this time, something you heard or became aware of, something new, and just let that be until the next time you're able to have some time alone. Okay, for sessions 2 and 3, this is all you need to do. Get in another kind of comfortable place, making sure you have time to yourself. Take time to invite God to come and be with you in whatever way is easy and natural for you, but real and honest. And then I have a couple scriptures I want to offer you. Choose one of these scriptures. The first one is Psalm 139, verses 23 and 24. So you could do that one, or you could do 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verses 9 through 16. Take one of those and just read it through slowly a bunch of times, taking your time each time you read it through, just to allow phrases or things to surface. You're not searching for answers here. You're just allowing the Word of God, the inspired Scriptures, to begin taking a hold in your mind. And what happens is that as we do that, as we use the Bible as the inspired Word of God, what it does is it allows us to start thinking along with that Spirit and to be carried along with those thoughts. And it's amazing how many times we'll be, reading these words or thinking about these words, and something else that doesn't maybe directly connect but is important will come to mind. Or sometimes these words will take you on a journey, or who knows, but I just know that God carries us. And this is one of the best ways to utilize the Scriptures. It's to get our minds thinking with Him, so that as His thoughts come to us, we can be aware of them. And then, of course, when we are doing this, the key is to write down what you become aware of. Write down what you're hearing. And as we take time to do this, it doesn't take a lot, as you can see, but it takes honesty and vulnerability. What you will find is, whether it's the specific answer you were looking for or not, you will walk away with something that was there that wasn't there before. Maybe it's as simple as peace. Maybe it's as simple as God saying, remember, I am with you, and I'll take care of you, or I will help you, or whatever that thing is that we need to be okay and to bring back our hope or our joy. Maybe it is a very specific answer or a plan of attack for some problem that you're facing. It could be anything, but you will walk away with something. And when you do, it's important to recognize you have heard God. And when we hear God, it's as simple as that recognition that says, that's what I needed to hear. There is something that resonates within us that says, I almost knew it already, but I couldn't form it into a thought. Now I have something concrete that I can walk forward with. So I hope this week is beneficial for you. I'm excited to hear how this goes, and we'll see you next week.